Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's a chess program on Pod TV. My name is Sasha Star, and we have today, first of all, Professor Ken Regan. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me on. I'm in my office.
Okay, I can see that. And
Extremely busy afternoon coming.
we also have Professor uh, Dan um, Fleetwood. So
Yep.
that escaped from my head. And I think Nick Paliveda, founder of the network, is going to join us.
Chris
Also,
Olson.
link highly
Yes, Nick.
to
Hello.
Jim Eid from Eid Foundation, but I'm not so sure if he's going to join us. So we have abundance of very interesting chess matches and tournaments, and men and women, and normal chess and random chess, or how they call it now, the
Freestyle.
freestyle chess. Oh, freestyle chess. Okay, so it used to be Fischer chess, then it was 360 chess. It was all kind of chess. So now it's a freestyle. I like this name, freestyle. It's
Yeah, I think it is a proper adoption of the name. I was interviewed by the Australian Broadcasting Corporation on Monday about it. I don't know if I remembered in the interview to say that yes, freestyle used to mean where humans were allowed to cheat with computers, but centaur chess is a better name for that. And
I
and
hate
so
that name, by the way, Ken.
what?
Absolutely hate it.
What name?
Centaur chess.
Oh, okay.
Because it makes correspondence chess players sound like freaks.
Okay. All right, that could be.
oh my god.
Mhm.
So whatever is the closest to normal chess what we have right now, it's a women's world championship. They are
Right.
playing normal tournament chess. It's a rarity now. It's almost impossible to find. Everybody's playing rapid chess, blitz chess, this freestyle chess, and I wish, and somebody would introduce Bronstein's chess, because it's the same as the freestyle, but except there is only pawns at the beginning position, seven white pawns on second row, seven black pawns on second row, and then the game starts when each one assembles a piece in no particular order on its first rank white, then black respond with his move. For example, let's see, I would put my king on e1. So black, it doesn't even have to move his king. It can move queen to c8, for example. Then white would move, let's see, rook to g1. Is it good move? Not sure, not so sure. Some black would be respond rook to b8, for example, just make it more interesting, and so on. So once these pieces are assembled on the board, so then the game which is closest to freestyle, except that there will be no castle. In the Bronstein variation, there is no castle. So the only requirement is that the bishop will be on the opposite color squares. That's the only requirement. Otherwise, you can put your pieces in no particular order on any square on the first row for white and the eighth row, last row for black. So that would, but what's the problem with this chess? I experienced that when I was doing chess stars, and we've done the model when you could predict your moves. There was no mechanism, at least known to me and my programmers, that they could make it programmable, how you have only your pawns and then you move your pieces on the board from nowhere. They could not figure out how to program it. I'm sure it's possible, but I was not persistent enough, I guess, because it could have been done, and that would be make it even farther step forward to completely unknown style of chess, which would be probably, I would call it freestyle chess plus, what I would call it. That would
Yes.
be quite interesting development.
So I've actually been, I don't know if this has been showing on the screen. You bring up baseline chess, and this is um, some I have an entry baseline chess with Fischer rules, combining Brunstein and Fischer's ideas.
Yeah.
I'm not finding the web page. It's noted by AI, but here it is. Okay, so if you're seeing the screen, this
Yes.
is my entry at chessvariants.com.
Okay. Okay.
Or Bronstein chess with the Fischer castling rule, basically.
Oh,
It has your name in there, Ken. Did you see it?
What's that?
It has your name in this article. Did you see it?
Yes, I know. Well, it took me a while on the original search results.
Right.
It mentions me in the AI overview, but it doesn't there isn't a link to that particular page below.
Right.
oh, I see.
In the AI overview. So I was curious about that. But this is the actual page. So with what I suggested, yeah, I haven't been able to get any sponsorship to see if this would catch fire. As I did mention this in the interview on Monday and said, it's not quite 960 squared. It's actually, I think, 100,000 around variance, but
Of course.
nice not to be random. And the most interesting technical interaction noted here is that you'd think you'd want to fianchetto both bishops, but actually chess engines think that putting them in the corner is worse than developing them in, Giocopiano or London style.
Right. Center. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, what's another interesting thing is that there are no symmetrical positions. Well, there could be, of course.
There could be, but
Yeah,
not necessarily.
Most likely there will be no symmetrical positions, which another brings some interesting aspects of the game. So you might as well, once all the pieces are on the board, one side is in a completely lost position by not making even a single move, by not putting the pieces in the right order. It's quite fascinating. But I think it would be definitely the next step forward. I think once people and grandmasters themselves will get tired of this freestyle, they will try to explore this.
Well, why hasn't Bughouse caught on? Because that was pretty big in the Scholastics. All my kids
Why hasn't
love
what put on?
Bughouse.
Bughouse. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, why hasn't that caught on? Because the
It is
Scholastics,
still popular.
but they don't seem to play it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, at the World Senior,
Mhm.
some of you people will appreciate it. It's been around for a long time. A new entrant has come to play in the World Senior from the United States, from New Orleans, and you may recognize
Jude
his name.
Is
Acers.
it Jude?
Jude Acers.
That is
Yeah,
awesome.
Oh, right.
he's going to be in Italy for the World Senior. So I was just going, wow, because I entered to go
Fantastic.
play, and I was going. I don't have an ELO rating because I played a long time ago, and but the funny thing is the openings I used were like all Fischer openings, like the Najdorf and the King's Indian. I'm just wondering, has chess progressed away from the Najdorf and the King's Indian? I don't know.
No. No, you can still get away with that.
You can still get away with it? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought the 70s openings, because I see the Grandmasters today, they don't play all the hyper-technical Sicilian Najdorfs anymore. It's almost like gone completely.
Well, I mean that's just because they know all the lines by heart, so it's boring if they do that.
That could be true. Yeah.
Mhm.
I know actually about Bronstein. I met him in 1989 in London during the Karpov's matches. He was playing at that time. I think he played either Spielman or no. He was playing Yusupov, and Spielman was playing Timon. So I spent a lot of time talking and spending time with him, and he described me in details this Bronstein variation of chess. But the most interesting thing, he was a great experimentator at that time, and actually several years prior to that, I think in the late 70s, he played very interesting match against Michael Tal. What they were doing, they were playing 8 games simultaneously against each other. Of course, 4 with white and 4 with black, and vice versa.
Mhm.
And the score was 4-4. It was a very interesting match situation where you have to be Of course, you have to be a very good player. You have to have great memory. You have to have great reaction because because somebody with Stahl, Bronstein was always scared that on all 8 boards will be his move because Stahl was playing very fast. So that was he was scared of. But he held his own, and it was a 4-4 score. Interestingly enough, nobody ever tried it again since that match.
Mm.
But that's interesting form of, when you're looking at chess tournament, you are watching, let's see, 8 games with different grandmasters playing or
Right.
so. But it's interesting to see 8 games, same grandmasters playing against each other with different colors, of course. That's probably would be even more interesting. But nobody seems to be interested in trying this format.
I must confess that when I was in Saratoga at the visiting the Scholastics, and Al Arntz and I were honored, I tried to play a 2-game blitz, slower blitz symbol against 2,000 level players, and I got crushed. So it's a little hard to keep the concentration up for
It
that.
is. And with 8 boards, remember, you still have to do a lot of walking. So you have to be in good physical form just as well.
Yeah, classical pace, maybe I could manage it. Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
And of course, that's how correspondence is played. All games in parallel.
Yeah.
Actually, yes, you're right. Yeah.
Yep. When you come back from vacation, though, there are like a large number of games. So just experienced that 2 days ago.
Mhm.
Yeah, correspondence chess is you have a luxury of time devoted to. You can analyze during the night, during the day. You can do it early morning or late evening. You have a lot of flexibility, but it still doesn't make it any easier either.
That's correct. I mean, in
Well, I think the games
in
are
the old
better.
days. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think the games are better. Correspondence, the quality of the
Yeah.
games are better.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But in the old days, I still knew that sometimes I was taking 3 or 4 days to do something that Kasparov would do in a glance.
Yeah.
So there is that.
And with all the time available, you may not find the moves what Carlsen would do.
Well, so I mean, I'm fond of saying that sometimes a correspondence game will most resemble a blitz game, because in each of those, sometimes you'll see moves that look like a typographical error. In blitz, it's like, let's see if this works. And in correspondence, sometimes you'll spend 4 or 5 days and you'll say, yeah, it works.
Mhm.
Well,
But in a classical time, it's like, well, I don't have time to work this out. So, it's probably too dangerous. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I saw during the World Chess Festival in St. John in 1988. I witnessed how Tal, during the night and drinking a lot of vodka, he was playing blitz against Vaganyan and Kirill Georgiev. And what's interesting is that one game particularly he played against Vaganyan, and Vaganyan had an extra piece for a pawn. So Vaganyan had bishop and knight and 3 pawns against Tal, knight and 4 pawns, all on the same side of the board.
Mhm.
And, Vaganyan, being fairly strong grandmaster at that time, he could not get any progress. Tal was avoiding exchanges. He was jumping with his knight all over the board and fairly fast. And eventually it was Vaganyan lost on time. Although they had about equal time, like maybe 2 minutes when this endgame arose. But it was just interesting. There was no way that grandmaster with Vaganyan's strength couldn't win with extra piece practically.
Mm.
It was really something. And it was a Taos, interestingly enough, he said many years ago, of course, that advantage of being a piece down after he sacrificed the piece. He said that the less pieces you have, the easier it is to coordinate them. So sometimes extra piece is liability because you have to
Mm.
spend extra time to coordinate all the pieces. So you have only 6 pieces instead of 7. So 6 pieces is easier to coordinate. And he was joking, I'm pretty sure, but sometimes you think about it, and there's a lot of wisdom in it. Well, however, let's come back to our the freestyle chess. Ken,
Sure.
you have some game
I,
prepared?
I have one freestyle game to show. Carlson defeated Abdusattorov, but the game I'm going to show instead is a game with Nakamura beating Erigaisi.
Yeah, that was a big win for him.
Yeah. So I'm showing it from this. I was trying to show it from ChessBase's board, but it wouldn't
Yeah.
load, and I seem to be unable to change the style of the pieces in on chess.com.
Oh, I see.
So anyway, so this is the position. So this is the English opening, except turbocharged by the rook starting behind the pawn that is being advanced. And the bishops are on the central squares, which, it's interesting which way they go. The knights are tucked in the corner, which they don't like so much. But here we go.
I think this is already a critical position, isn't it?
It may be.
There's a lot of theory here,
Look
man.
at
A
all
lot of
that.
theory.
Wow.
Well, now opening up the queen. So black did not play f5. But anyway, so white played d3. Black did not play f5. Still, black develops a piece. White develops a piece, and now comes f5. So we have a symmetrical position. So, question is, often a symmetrical position is dodgy for the second player.
But looks like f5 is a weakness. Any way you look at it.
It does, and white can attack it first. So what would I have played here? Let's see. It's hard to. I mean, there aren't any good moves with the bishops. That's part of the problem. I might have played e6 to follow with bishop f6, and actually the chess engine actually likes the f5 move. So what do I know? Okay, so white, knight c7 was another move I might have considered for black. Okay, so the game continues symmetrical, and there's the Fischer-Castling rule.
I was going to say how'd that happen.
Yeah.
So now this does look a little bit more like normal chess.
That's true.
Decides to play slow. So e4 is liked by the computer, and it's the move I would have played actually a few moves earlier. But here we go. Let's continue in the symmetrical vein, except now d5 doesn't work for black. It would hang something. So black now brings the bishop to f6, which is what I wanted to do earlier. White brings the bishop to f3, and black still can't really play d5 because c5 would get taken first. So a little bit of an advantage white in the center. Now d5 because black's queen guarded c5, and we're not quite symmetrical here. A little bit. White has a rook on d1. White is not going to play bishop f2 in this position. White just controls. There goes the rook to d8. There goes the bishop f2. And does black play b6 to make the game symmetrical? No. Black decides
Probably a mistake.
Yeah. So what do the engines say about that one?
The engines actually think b6 is a perfectly fine move, and otherwise black should play knight e8 and uncover the rook on c8. I misspoke. I'm wrong. This is not symmetrical because white does not have a rook on c1. And in fact, again, a little bit of advantage black because black's rooks are on better squares. So,
but isn't knight on the rim dim?
Well, yeah. So, it's attacking c4. I mean, there is some logic to black's play, but it could have been prepared a little better, maybe. Okay, so white plays knight a4. We're still being symmetrical, and now white, now Nakamura maybe does get into a little trouble because black's going to isolate or hang pawns. Hanging pawnsify the pawns. But the engine says black is 6/10 of a pawn ahead. But if you look at it, white's bishops are really nice. So I would say that's compensation for the hanging pawn. But it all depends on concrete follow-up. And in reality, what it all depends on is judging that black can get away with swiping the pawn on c4. So this would have been the logical follow-up. And if white captures here, then b5.
Fine, yeah.
So, and that's good for black. Black will eventually have the c file and a nice square on d5. And
So
otherwise,
that's what black did.
no, that's not what black did. So Erigaisi did not take the pawn. So,
Certainly he saw it, so why didn't he take it?
oh wait, hold on a second. Maybe I'm wrong. Hold on a second. Am I wrong? I'm looking at this. Oh, he did take the pawn. I'm sorry.
That's what I was going to say. You know,
Yes, he
it's
did take it. Yes, yeah.
too obvious. Let's put it that way. Okay, he did take it.
Yep. So bishop takes b7 is what Nakamura played. And so now, well, Erigaisi is still doing well here, but you have to follow up. It's a little hard to see the pieces, I must admit. And in we come. Black's knights were beginning to make a cavalcade. But
Yeah.
I said I still like white's bishops, and it's funny that such an obvious move as rook c8 can actually be a mistake here. But,
Really? Yeah.
But it was time for the cavalcade to come in with knight c3, and
Right.
a knight c3, and you follow it up. Well, this is very interesting actually. Let's see how we follow it up. We follow it up after rook d3. Oh yeah, by playing rook b1. Yes. So this is
Oh, that's nice.
yeah, that's very nice. I don't know why black didn't play that. Seems very logical.
Yeah, it seems aggressive. It seems like the right move to play.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, what does rook c8 do? What's the theory behind it? Why would you do that?
I really
You're not going to take the knight, so what are you doing? What are we doing here?
yeah. Was it preventing a knight b7 fork in some really deep line? I don't know. Yeah, I must say I don't know what it is, but he
Yeah.
took his foot off the gas. Okay, so knight before queen b4. There's some sort of weird attack here, but now actually things have now flipped, and white is black's pieces are on illogical squares, and now white is able to gear up for an attack. Okay, now the knight comes into c3. I guess black is finally attacking d4. Okay, so black decided to duck and not take it. The engine evaluation of this is swinging wildly. So what happens here? Bishop takes d5. Oh,
And
bishop
take that.
d5. It's
Better
pinned.
not do that.
Yes, better not do that. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I mean, it's just a complicated line that follows. Yeah. Okay. That's why black shored up the d5 square. Right now, white has fixed his pawn structure and has two wonderful bishops in this.
And how's black's bishop doing, Ken?
Yeah, black's bishop is a pawn. Yeah, black's bishop. Can black play bishop h5 in this position? No, probably
Doesn't
not.
do anything. It just goes to
D6
d2.
hangs and d5 hangs. So this is so black takes. So now get
D3 goes bishop d2.
h5 in, but it doesn't do anything.
No, we've transposed into a Dutch defense.
Yes,
Now,
and this is a normal chess position.
Right. This is more
Yep.
normal.
White wins a pawn, and the two white bishops were just too strong on those diagonals, and okay, so this is one of the nicer moves of the game,
Yeah.
because now e6 cutting off, and then you win d5. So black has to give back the piece, and now it's two bishops against two knights. Never mind the extra pawn on a3 that black has to spend a tempo to take. This is going to be shooting fish in a barrel. And here we go. The fish have been shot, and white is just going to win with the kingside pawns. And the queenside pawn, too, now that white's defended it.
It's kind of over.
This is well and truly over, but because it was a fast chess game, it lasted that long. Now with the queens off, the knights are completely powerless.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
right. We're
yeah.
down two pawns and you have two knights. It's
Yeah.
toast.
well,
So interesting strategy from the early moves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
somehow with all of that kind of, with the rooks there and the bishops in the middle, I wouldn't have expected like a slow, symmetric opening to come out of that. But maybe that was discretion being the better part of valor.
Yeah. And the other thing too to notice is that this was classical chess. The players started with 90 minutes, but
Huh.
here at the crucial
Good.
part of the game, they were both under 30 minutes. At the point where Black took this C pawn. So they did expend a lot more thinking in the early part of the game than we might otherwise be used to.
Very interesting, spectacular.
So the other two games I have are naturally the from the Women's World Championship, where after losing initially, Zhu Wenjun has reeled off, I think, 3 wins in 4 games, or
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so easily. I mean, she had a tremendous advantage. I never expected that.
Yeah, I was really impressed because she really messed up the ending in game 2. I mean, she basically self-immolated her rook and played very poorly. And after that, she's played really well. So
yeah. Well, well, 2 of her wins came from outplaying Tan Zhongyi in endgames when Tan Zhongyi
exactly.
could have held, but there was still a lot of scope to outplay people. And but this game, however, was a bit of a wipeout. I mean, I'm sure it was theory up to a certain point, but so Black decides to take action right away. I mean, this game gets very creative. I'm sure that castling is the normal move and
Yeah.
the best move in this position. So this is
Yeah, her
creative.
queen c7.
Yeah, that and Queen C7. Yeah, it's got to have it prepared. And maybe Black wasn't. Maybe this is the superior preparation by Zhu Wenjun instead of retreating the bishop or playing a normal move. You spike Black's bishop. You get a tempo on how to do this, and then B5 is already going to get Black in trouble. I had played B6.
This is a capitulation.
B6 is better here, isn't it, Ken?
Yes, absolutely. According to the computer, and
Just want to make sure.
this is too slow. You don't have your bishop on B7 yet, and you're just going to get rolled on the king side.
Yeah.
I mean, so there's some nice positional chess here. I'm sure A4 is a great move to throw in. And I said rolled on the king side. I don't know, F5 is probably a playable move here too. Yeah, the computer actually thinks F5 is just as good as the other 2 moves. The computer is really saying that Black's plan is completely misconceived, way behind in development, pieces on weird squares, and White has the pawn center. This is just
Ken, you know what it is? It's a coffee house style chess. That's what Black is playing.
yeah, coffee house chess. Yeah. So okay, we got the bishop to B7, and apparently Queen E2 is too slow. Queen D4 is a really powerful centralizing move.
Yeah.
It's so much better. I can't believe we
No
didn't play
kidding.
that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I would
We're
have
not
played
going to criticize White's good pawn up, better pieces. The bishop on D4, I'm sure, is what she had in mind, and the bishop on D4 is going to be awesome. And but White decides can go pawn grabbing.
Yeah, I see that.
Now the bishop gets the D4.
Wow.
Well, also looks good.
Yeah,
Right.
also looks good. White's up 2 pawns, 2 pawns.
Complete domination.
Yeah, so
Now you get a couple pieces for the insult.
yeah,
Yeah,
a little
this is
bit
pretty
of a
easy.
desperation attack on White's king, but White has 25 minutes left. Now it is true there is only 1 move in this position, so you have to see it from a few moves back in this variation you played.
You have to be careful not to get checkmated.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
temporarily ticklish to
Right.
not have queen.
So yeah, King. That's what I thought. I was like King G1's the only choice here.
Yes, so that's
And then he doesn't get a perpetual because he can't get it back on the black squares.
Yeah.
Okay. And he covers the G square. So there you go.
Okay, so white has covered everything up.
Yeah, white's covered everything.
No more attack. And now
Oh,
white
wow.
is able to advance. Well, we repeat moves up here. Now white is able to advance things.
Yeah, good technique.
Yeah, good technique. Very, very good.
Perfect moves.
And then he can even take the up pawn and win because he can't. There's no mate.
I mean, you might as well say, what happens if black takes this pawn? Well, you just take this one here, and now you're decimating the king side.
Right.
H6 and G7 both.
Those two pieces are so strong in these positions,
So even though black won a few tempos, it's still decimating the king side here. And black is flailing here, then finally E7 check is picking up the rook on C5 after queen here, queen here, queen here, bishop F5.
Yep, there it is.
Yeah, there it goes.
So that was the that's the status of the Women's World Championship, and I'll just very relatively briefly note that Teodora Ignatz, after losing the first round, where she had a mate in 2 and time pressure and missed it, she reeled off 9 straight victories to win the tournament by 1.5 points in this position, and so this was her key win in the next to last round that clinched the tournament. She's black, so how do you play the Berlin turned into Gioco Piano enterprisingly as black? This is another example. It actually keeps its Ruy Lopez exchange character, but it's same question: how does black create chances in this position? Well, it helps if white.
Ken, this is a line that is super popular in correspondence chess now, and for a weird reason.
Okay.
Even though it's well known that the Berlin is a draw, because the Berlin was considered to be bad for so many decades, there are still a lot of really strange lines that haven't been worked out. So a lot of that's spilling over to over the board now as well. And so the line with so in here there's a line where if white doesn't play the knight G or the knight BD2, there can be a bishop pin coming on G4, H3, bishop H5, G4, the sacrifice, and it's a forced draw, but you have to know it like 20 moves deep to not get rolled off. So a lot of really exciting lines, and it looks like they chose something a little bit quieter, but also topical.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's good to know. Yeah, I have no idea about this, but what I do know is that white couldn't take the pawn last move because black had queen D4, forking the knight and mate on F2.
So now this is a different way to play it.
That's a different way to play it.
So this is one way to play for win is black.
Is that a good move in this position, Ken? That seems to me a little overly aggressive.
Yes, it is. It is a little bit. Although
I'd try H3 G4 before I would try that.
Yeah, the engine thinks that black is fully equalized anyway. So
really, so what do you think about H4?
Well, the eval goes down.
I think it's unbalanced, but I think white's in danger of not completing development here.
Right.
Well, then you play bishop D2 and look to go castle queen.
I guess castle queen side.
That's what I would do.
That'd be all right.
H3 G4, but not H4 right now. That just who's doing this?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I am. Okay.
Well, gives black a tempo to expand on the queen side, and
because eventually you're gonna have to play bishop D2. So
yeah. So white decides, we're going to play.
We are just aggressive here, aren't we? I mean, rook G1. I still want to opt for that castle queen side.
Well, Sasha, this is your coffee house chess again.
Yeah, this is coffee house. Not kidding.
There we go. 3 points.
I just finished my coffee, so
Black is attacking the white king position on the queen side in advance, that the king will take up residence there in a move. Okay, so this
Weird.
now the the most convenient way to defend against the royal fork is the castle.
Yep.
Here come the space invaders.
Yep. Giddy up.
Yep. So the question is, white has a knight on f5 that counts for something. Queen g5. Oh, knight e6 is
F6.
or f6. Or f6 even better. Yeah. So here you go, and rook.
That's nice. Oh my lord! I don't think I would have done that one.
To c4. Yeah.
I don't know what to say about c4 here.
You have to be a computer to survive this as white.
Yeah. What's the c4 stuff all about, Ken? I mean, really?
No, c3 is the move the computer wants to play. So
yeah, it was c3 stuff.
But that would take on C3 anyway.
To the same line.
Okay, you're going back to the same thing.
Black did not have to capture though. Black could have just played a4. Anyway,
A4 is not doing anything because I will block your pawns once you.
Black has to be better here, right?
yeah, white is
Unless you're a computer.
Unless you're a computer, yeah.
but only with rook d2 according to the computer.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of latent stuff going on, and rook c1 is a completely natural move. We'll see white get into trouble with some very natural moves. There's one maybe instructive thing about coming up, is that white should have played the queen to g3, which is just as good for guarding d3 and menaces some things on the king side. This is the one move that I think I really would have seen if I were playing, but instead of
doesn't seem good.
not yet in time pressure, retreated to e2, and let's go overprotecting b2. I can see the reason for that move, but it's very passive.
You're very passive and you're tied down. That's just not good.
And the computer wants to play h6 for a reason I don't fathom, but also
or c5. Yeah,
c5,
c5 makes more sense.
c5 to me makes more sense.
And when white takes it, what's the idea?
The idea is you roll them up.
Yeah, with just getting.
What's the follow up?
Yeah,
queen. I was going to say queen b7, but
yeah, queen b7. You're right. Yeah, just now this is going to happen though. So we're going to see white puts the rook on c5. Black decides to dislodge white's knight. But the c pawn will eventually disappear. So it's white's trying to make a bit of a fortress. It's not completely clear how black is going to break through, and the players actually repeated moves. And also important, Ignatz was down to 2 minutes, although getting a lump sum of 30 minutes now at turn 40. So things are fine again. And so players repeated moves to make time control. So black is just angling around for the best thing, but the real reality is white's g5 was a little careless. Let me go back.
That's what I thought,
yeah, g5 was unforced error. I guess you have dreams of playing knight h2, g4 and in, but white isn't able to. So this is actually very good play by black, bringing the queen around and attacking g5 before white can really defend it. Now you're letting the a pawn go when you do that, and white captures it and they come back. They traded these 2 pawns. So white brings queen back out to a4, and now black plays a series of very nice moves. Well, maybe not.
Well, not optimal, but still strong.
Yeah, here's where the c pawn disappeared. Okay. So white should have captured with the queen, and maybe then would have been able to stop black from infiltrating. So the rest of the game is how black is able to infiltrate with the rook. Maybe white falls apart. So this is the rook b6. So already white is lost in this position. Because white, he has to play rook b6 to hold on to the rook. You would be giving black the a pawn. And then here's the funny thing now. White is suddenly losing. There maybe wasn't anything white could do about it, but you can't go to the a file because of mate, and you can't go here because it wins the queen. And white just does not have enough compensation. So
Dead lost.
So very interesting chess, though, I have to say, from the get go.
Well, you wouldn't have expected that from a Berlin, but sometimes it happens.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of games in freestyle, they are gravitating sometimes in the middle of the game, and of course at the end game, they're gravitating to a normal chess positions, normal chess. And at that time, you're already trying to understand, and you see some. It makes some sense now what's going on the board, but opening part, it's a mystery what's happening with the setup of pieces and with the moves what they're making. At least first I would say 5 moves or so, sometimes even more than that. It's a complete mystery to me how they and why they play certain moves. It's just incredible, really. And it's too bad that these positions are changing from round to round. So once you get used to certain position, you start appreciate some details. Gone. Next position.
Right.
That
Yes.
was one
Yes.
611. The next one 227. The next one 926.
Yes.
It-
It's to make you use an hour of your time by turn 15. So
yeah, yeah, that's right. Anyway, it's so interesting. Thank you very much, everybody, for today's
Okay.
program.
see you, Nick.
Have a
and-
great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Same place, same time.
Okay.
Bye
Hi,
bye.
everyone.
All right.